Welcome back. This is Donna Byrne, and this is our final installment. We'll be talking about exculpatory clauses and how well they work. And here we go. So, what kind of drafting can we do to protect our chosen trustees? We saw what happened to them in Rothko. We sure don't want that. So let's talk about N. Ray Williams. Now, this is a local Minnesota case. Yay! James T. Williams founded the Creamette pasta company right here in Minnesota. Did you know that? The package used to actually have a Creamette girl on it. It doesn't anymore. And that girl is Peg Lindstruth, who was named in the case. She was one of the trustees. All right, he died in '51, leaving all his Creamette stock to a trust. And that was pretty much all the trustee owned. So you ought to be thinking already about, diversification. Well, the trust rolled along for some time, and in 1979, Creamette sold out to Borden Foods. And you might recognize that cow from the can of condensed milk you use to make your pumpkin pie. Now, at that point, the trustees, who were Norwest Bank, an ancestor of Wells Fargo, Peg Lindstruth, who we mentioned, and her brother Bob Williams, she and Bob were the kids of James T. Williams. The trustees decided to begin diversifying because all they've got now is Borden stock. And by the end of 1989, so over 9 years, they're down to 39% of the trust. The value at that time was $36 and some odd cents per share. Okay, what was going on then? They had diversified a lot. That's good. But from 1990 to 1994, they didn't sell any stock. Why not? There was a recession. That's when I graduated from law school. It was not pretty. So the trustees waited. They hoped things would turn around. And, of course, they didn't. And so by the time they unloaded all that Borden stock, it was only worth $14.25 a share. So the trust lost money. And now we have the question, did they breach the duty to diversify? Notice that nobody complained when they held only Creamette stock and it went up in value. Well, the question actually is not whether there was a breach of the duty. The question is, did they actually have a duty to diversify? Why wouldn't they? Well, the trust had an exculpatory clause. No trustee shall be liable for the default or doing of any other trustee, whether the act be one of misfeasance or nonfeasance, nor shall he be held liable for any loss by reason of any mistake or error of judgment made by him in good faith in the execution of the trust. Okay, well, here's some questions. First of all, are exculpatory clauses enforceable? And are they enforceable in favor of professional fiduciaries like a bank? And then in that case, if we can get past those two, does this exculpatory clause save the trustee? First of all, are they enforceable at all? Apparently, yes. The court says they're not favored, so they are strictly construed, which means that they are enforceable. We're just going to strictly construe them. And so when we strictly construe this one, the clause only protects the trustee for mistakes or errors of judgment made in good faith. And it also protects the trustee from the bad acts of other trustees. Right? So yes, in general, they are enforceable. Now, what about in favor of professional fiduciaries? Well, they should be enforceable for them too, but professional fiduciaries like a bank are held to a higher standard. We saw that back in the investment cases. And the court says failure of a professional to meet a minimum standard of care, and that would be a minimum professional standard, is not a mere error in judgment. So the clause can still apply, but now we have to know whether Norwest met the minimum standard of care. So does this mean we're there? Well, no, we're not quite done because these are questions of fact, right? What was that minimum standard of care? Did Norwest fail to meet it? And if they did, that was negligence. And since we're strictly construing this clause, it does not cover negligence. right? And then they'd be liable. But we have to go back and have a trial on these questions of fact. Okay, so what do we take away from this? Well, an exculpatory clause can apply a little bit more easily for a lay trustee. And you might have noticed that even though there were 3 trustees, it's only Norwest who is in court here. They're the professional fiduciary. So yes, we can use exculpatory clauses to help protect our trustees or our executors. And I think that's the end of this video. No, it's not. Okay, here we go. Remember all those different trustee duties? Loyalty, prudence, impartiality, oversight, given accounting. Okay, so the questions for you are, which ones can we draft around? And what are the limitations on our ability to protect our trustees? All right, we've seen all of these issues in various cases. So when you're preparing for the final, you should be able to kind of categorize these. You know, which ones give you flexibility and which don't. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening, and I hope this has been a fun way to cover material that we couldn't cover in class. Thanks.